This is News at 8.
Good evening and welcome to the Primetime News Bulletin here on the Joy News channel. Tonight, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum assures government is on course to end load management by the first week of May, despite failure by the West African Gas Pipeline Company to make gas available earlier as promised. Striking doctors say they are not returning to the wards anytime soon because government has not shown enough commitment to resolve their problems. Counsel for third respondents in election petition case takes on petitioner's star witness during cross-examination for misrepresenting the meaning of the data on the pink sheet. And Parliament approves final batch of Deputy Minister nominees at emergency sitting. All these plus business, sports and showbiz coming up.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
In our very first story, Parliament today approved 35 deputy ministers, including Victoria Hama and Abla Jifa Gomashi, to serve in government at various ministries. The MPs were recalled for an emergency meeting to adopt 3 reports of the Appointments Committee, which recommended the approval of their nominations by President Mahama.
Members of the Appointments Committee, prior to the approval, made strong arguments why the House should adopt their reports.
Mr. Speaker, the various nominees, when they appeared, were asked various questions to see whether they are capable in holding the offices they have been nominated for. For instance, Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Minister designated for Works and Housing, Water Resources, were able to answer the questions as to the deficit in housing, the problems associated with water. We who were on the committee were satisfied that these people who were before us, whatever it is, they are qualified, they are competent, and they are ready to help their various ministries to deliver and assist the president to achieve his targets for this country.
Some of them have served under 3 ministers as deputy ministers. If you talk of Abrakwa, the Minister of Information, he has served under 3 ministers. So I believe we of this side will have no time wasting in approving of their nomination.
In the absence of contrary views, the House voted to approve the appointments of all 35 who went through the vetting process a few weeks ago.
This House adopts the 9th report of the Appointment Committee, the 10th report, and the 11th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President nomination for Deputy Ministerial appointments. As many as are in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it, and accordingly, all the 35 deputy ministerial nominations have duly been approved by this House.
Victoria Lakshmi Hama is headed for the Ministry of Communications, whilst Abla Jifa Gomashi will take up post at the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. Among the 35 were also Edwin Nilate Vanderpoy for Ministry of Trade and Industry, John Dinapo for Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa for Ministry of Education, and Benita Okitidia and Rahel Apo both for Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection.
Item 9.
Honourable members.
The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum has assured government is on course to end the current load shedding that continues to be the source of agony for many Ghanaians, despite some hiccups that have come up in recent times. A statement released by the ministry indicated government disappointment with comments by the West African Gas Pipeline Company that it is unlikely to make gas available as earlier promised. The ministry says The disappointment notwithstanding, the load management program should end by the first week of May, as promised earlier by the President of the Republic. We're joined on the line now by the Head of Communications at the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, Edward Bauer. Good evening to you, Mr. Bauer. Fine, thank you, Mr. Bauer. Now, we've taken note of government's disappointment with WAPCO for falling back on its earlier promise to fix the pipeline. But has this been communicated to the company, and what have they said are the challenges?
Yeah, basically, I think that the communication given to the Ministry of Energy is basically the same thing they sent to the media about the fact that they have challenges. One that had to do with construction issues, and the other one also had to do with a delay in one of their takes that was supposed to come out at Takrady. So these are the two reasons they have given. But the reason why the ministry is a bit disappointed is that this is yet another promise that has not been delivered. If you recall, in December last year, immediately after the problem, August 28, 2012, the chief executive had come out clearly to state that by Christmas they were going to have gas, and therefore we should be able to solve our power situation. Unfortunately, that never happened. And now a new target was given to us as April 30th this year, which is supposed to be tomorrow. Unfortunately, we're not going to meet that deadline, particularly at the time that about just 3 weeks ago, that assured us that we were on schedule to make sure that we get gas. So that's why we are very disappointed as a ministry. But also as a ministry, we did not just put all our eggs in one basket, just thinking that at the end of the day, if the gas does not come from Nigeria, we'll be throwing our hands in despair. So we tried as much as possible to find alternative ways of doing that. That's why we are saying that yes, we will still find a way of ensuring that we give power to Ghanaians as promised. However, this is going to come at a cost, and you know that the unit cost of production of power using natural gas is far cheaper than using light crude oil. We spend currently about $50 million every 20 days to buy crude for VRA to be able to generate its plants. That is a very huge amount of financial outlay if you really look at it. But still, government is committed to doing that because power is key, not only for domestic, but for our industrial purposes.
Okay, Mr. Bauer, I was going to come to that aspect of the statement that you've put in there, having to do with the government having to bear so much cost to ensure that VRA makes power available. Are you, by any suggestions, trying to communicate to us that we'll have to pay more?
No, I'm not saying that. This is something we've been doing since August 28, 2012.
What's the effect? What's the effect of that communication?
The effect of that communication is to tell Ghanaians that, look, as we speak now, expenditure that was supposed to be used for other areas, for example, if you are talking about 50 million, ordinarily, VRA should be able to raise money and also, at the end of the day, be able to buy fuel for their own generating purposes. But because this is a very peculiar situation where, one, there's no gas, and if there's no gas, and I agree with you, there's also no tariff adjustment. Government, definitely, VRA cannot continuously bear that cost, and that's why government has decided to take up that cost. And since August, we've been doing it. Just this year alone, we've bought 5 cargoes for VRA. Each cargo costing about 15 million. So if you're talking about 5 cargoes, that's about 250 million just this year alone, just first quarter.
Okay.
Just on fuel.
So in other words, in other words, Mr. Bauer should be prepared to pay more by way of electricity tariffs.
I have not said that. I'm just trying to state the facts as they are.
Okay, now talking about the promise earlier that WAPCO has fallen back on its word to make the gas available. Well, you were complaining a bit about it, or government is disappointed. But same way, Ghanaians are disappointed that over the period we've been giving assurances that the load shedding would end, but it never ends.
Yeah, Israel, you work with people, a company that you have equity stake in. The company gives you certain deadline. It is and you always want to take a corporate organization like WAPCO for its word. They give you a statement, and then you come to relate that, obviously, by virtue of our transparent nature in running the sector, we tend to tell people exactly what information we have. Then we end up not getting this promise being delivered. And this is not the first time. This is the second time it is happening. But that's why I said that in as much as we were relying on them to bring us cheap source of fuel for us to run our gens, we had alternative plans. We tried to hurry up the completion of T3. We also tried as much as possible to ensure that at least the first unit of Bui comes on stream. And these are two major projects that we are working to ensure that it comes. On Friday, we will have the first unit 133 coming from Bui. That way, T3 should be able to cushion us to at least manage until this gas pipeline works out.
Fair enough, Mr. Bauer. The latest promise is that the load shedding should end by the first week of May. But before then, many would ask what happened to the assurance by the president that off-peak load shedding is over.
Right. Unless you want to tell me that you have information contrary to what we all say. The off-peak load shedding is over. The only thing is that you may have a situation where, if, for example, Aranko Komlemle, where Joy FM is, if you have a local problem with maybe a transformer, you have a local problem with a transmission line, that is not load shedding. Load shedding is as a result of insufficient supply of power. And the off-peak load shedding is over. So what the president said is true. We don't have that. And a lot of Ghanaians, even if you look at it in terms of even the adverts that are placed on newspapers, the adverts do not include load shedding of peak during the day. It doesn't include that because we don't shed load during the day.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bauer. Mr. Bauer, Edward Bauer, is the head of communications at the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. And you just heard him. Off-peak load shedding is over. Post your comments onto our Facebook wall. Let's get to know what's the situation like in your neck of the woods, in your area. But we're moving on to other stories. And the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has cancelled Government 1 and 2 examination papers after routine inspections revealed that the secrecy of papers before the examination dates have been compromised. A statement issued by the exams body, which is conducting the May-June 2013 West African Senior School Examination, said it had found students with materials that suggested papers had been leaked. Principal Public Affairs Officer Agnes Kujo, who signed that statement, said WAEC regrets this uncomfortable measure. Nonetheless, the statement adds it needed to demonstrate its abhorrence of examination malpractices and to instill moral uprightness in students. The examination papers, which were taken on 22nd April 2013, will now be re-administered on 17th May 2013 at 9 a.m. The statement has also asked heads of schools to make arrangements to address the inconvenience it had caused to the innocent stakeholders. The council said it was investigating the malpractices and will soon come out with findings. In other news, the National Polytechnic Teachers Association of Ghana, POTAG, is asking its Ashanti Regional Chapter to rescind a decision to strike after 3rd May. According to the National Executive, it will be unlawful for them to singularly lay down their tools per POTAG's internal arrangements. Meanwhile, National POTAG has scheduled a meeting with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission on May 8 to negotiate and resolve the delays in the allowances.
The threat by the Ashanti Region branch follows delays in the payment of the Category 2 and 3 allowances by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. The other regional branches, whose members find themselves in the same situation, are not so keen about a strike. Members of the Greater Accra POTAG, for instance, have no intention of laying down their tools.
If we are to embark on strike nationwide with a totality, what goes on is that we call in for a delegate conference. Then each chapter presents 3 nominees. So it sums up to become 30 with the executive. We go beyond that. Then we take a decision. So when there's a strike, that national has got hands in it. It's not an individual. And no 2 or 3 person does that. So, well, I'm sure they have a cause to fight for on their own. But what I want the public to know is that that is not the decision of national. That is why Accra Poly is not part of it.
They believe it is early days yet for them to issue strike threats and are alarmed at the stance of the Ashanti region colleagues.
If they wanted to bring us all in, then the best is that they should have informed us. But since they think it's a unit problem and they want to solve it on their own, I personally don't have anything. But if they had come out that it's universal decision, then we can now come in and say, brothers, then you should have gone this way.
The National Executive has also expressed shock at the pronouncement.
All we want to explain to them is that they were part of the meeting, the Congress at Accra Polytechnic. Their views were heard Congress didn't support their views. Congress mandated NASNA to liaise up with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission so that they will call us for a negotiation to begin. They were part of Congress, and we took the decisions together. So for them to come out to threaten a strike action is something shocking.
He opined that it will be unnecessary for POTAC to go on strike now, adding that they are liaising with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to resolve the grievances of members.
I'm in Accra, so that after meeting the National Labour Commission, I will go to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to get an invitation letter. As at last week I was here, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission gave me a tentative date of 8th May for us to meet. But I didn't get any concrete letter from them. That's why I'm here, and from here I'll be going to secure a letter for that meeting. And when I get a letter, I will correspond it to all the local branches, and the meeting will be convened.
You're still watching the Primetime News Bulletin here on the Joy News channel. We're taking a break, but we have more stories coming up, including the petition hearing at the Supreme Court. Contrary to expectation, the doctors were going to announce the suspension of the month-long strike at a news conference today. They rather announced their readiness to go the full haul. President of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Kwabena Opoku-Edusei, who chaired the news conference, said government has shown little commitment to resolving their grievances, and until then, their services will remain withdrawn to the public.
The NEC of Ghana Medical Association would like to state that it is appalled with the manner in which government and these agencies are handling the issues surrounding the withdrawal services by members of the Ghana Medical Association. Clearly, the government is not committed to ensuring a speedy resolution of this impasse. This assertion is buttressed by the following. 1. At a meeting with the Minister of Health on Tuesday, April 23, 2013, GMA was informed that government has accepted the liability for the conversion difference, and the government was ready to restore, refund all arrears accrued. However, a letter of commitment requested by GMA from government to reassure its members never came from government. All that we are asking, we are not asking for any extra money. It's what government and this agency have agreed that it is due us, that they must pay. We don't want any extra money. We don't want our money to be reduced. We don't want to go on pension and become paupers. No, we cannot. We have not said that they should give us the whole country's money. No. What is due us, they must pay us. Okay. It's just like somebody owes you. And that's somebody say, yeah, I owe you. I'll pay you at the end of the month, let's say 30th of May. And they say, fine, I don't trust you. So if really you pay me 30th of May, give me a possession check. So that sign for me at 30th, I'll go and collect it. If that person cannot give you that document, possession check, it means that person is not sincere. And if government wants, they must go around and see. If you want, go around the hospitals. Go to Kolebu, go to Konfanoche, go to the other hospitals. The doctors are solidly behind counsel because they know that this one affects their future. Our rights have been trampled upon all these years. They know that we've been cheated all these years. They know that propaganda will never win. We want the truth, and the truth will come out, and have to come out. They pay us, they show the commitment, you will resume work. If they show us the commitment today, you will resume work today.
Meanwhile, patients seeking treatment at government hospitals are still having to endure frustration and agony as doctors persist with the industrial action. With pharmacists also taking a cue from the doctors, persons living with HIV/AIDS who seek treatment at the Ridge Hospital, for instance, will also soon run out of antiretroviral drugs as current supplies cannot last beyond 3 weeks. On her visits to some of the hospitals to tell the story of the strike, Abigail Adoma-Quintri came across some of the patients who simply want to see a doctor to get care.
The doctors' intensified strike has entered its second week, leaving patients to bear the agonizing brunt of not receiving adequate medical treatment. The situation is also set to worsen following the decision by the Government Hospital Pharmacists Association, GOSPA, to withdraw emergency services in demand for upgrading its market premium. We chanced on this 74-year-old woman suffering from arthritis and hypertension at the Reach Hospital. She had been waiting for over 4 hours for medical attention. Her daughter, Agatha Aja, could not hide her frustrations about her mother's condition.
The whole strike is making me sick because last time I came here with my mother, they asked me to come today. But still, there's no doctor working. I don't know what to do. Now they asked me to buy a certain medicine and the pharmacist, there's nobody over there. So I don't know what is happening. The government should do something about it because we are frustrated. My mother is dying over there. There's nobody to attend to her. So in fact, the whole thing is making me sick. I don't know.
70-year-old Margaret Intini had a similar story to share.
My name is How I didn't know who Nani. My name is Sanya Mia Edimibaha Bedaha Busumbaku. San Yimi Coffee, Sarene Saya or Tramio Jobu. It is a simple Messima who Yamaya Shamusa.
The few patients at the outpatient departments could only resort to the services of the nurses who were the only health officers attending to them. The hospital pharmacy was empty with no official on duty. At the antiretroviral therapy unit, though the pharmacists were not working, nurses were administering medication. The unit is to administer drugs to 200 HIV/AIDS patients a day, and these are the only drugs left for use.
This one lasts for 3 weeks. What we have now. So very soon we are going to give 2 weeks supply. And that will be very difficult to do. Because if I pick this drug, I have to share it for 2 people. This is for 1 month. And this is also for 1 month. So if I share for 2 people, it means in 2 weeks they have to come back. And we don't want to see a lot of people coming in at that time. Because 6,000, if all of them should come, we will collapse.
She expressed worry about the pressure mounting on them due to the absence of doctors and pharmacists.
Those who are on ARVs, because we cannot break in, because if we do that, we'll build resistance. We give them the drugs, 1 month supply. So they have a lot of work when they come back. Yes, because if somebody is to pick for 4 months, and because of the strike, I'm giving 1 month, then it means when you come back, the clinic attendance is going to be very high. It means you are going to close late. Who is going to compensate her for closing late? Because they are not here, and we cannot leave them, but have to sit in with them, which is a cheat. Because if they are on strike, we can also say we are going on strike, but we are still waiting and watching for whatever is going to happen. So that's why we are here.
The nurses are meanwhile worried a chunk of antiretroviral drugs at the ART unit have expired, awaiting disposal, which can only be done by the striking pharmacists.
Now onto the Great Pink Sheet petition. Lawyers for the second respondent in the ongoing case before the Supreme Court, Chachi Chikata, has accused the petitioners of misrepresenting the meaning of the data represented or presented on the Pink Sheet. In his cross-examination of the MPP's Dr. Baumia, Chachi Chikata reiterated the party's polling agents were equipped with mobile phones and as such could have communicated sightings of any anomalies at the various polling stations. Dr. Baumia, however, asserted all through the polling agents simply signed to attest to what happened at the polling station.
Lawyer Kwashi Aiden, representing the third respondent in the election petition, concluded his cross-examination of Dr. Baumia and put it to him that the petition is without merit. Chachu Chikata, lead counsel for the third respondent, then took over and quizzed Dr. Baumia on a number of issues, especially the role of the NPP polling agents in raising red flags about the supposed irregularities.
And you were also aware that the polling agent is there to certify that the poll was conducted in accordance with the laws and regulations governing the conduct. You are aware of that?
Well,
you were aware of that, or you were not aware of it?
The polling agents attest to what actually happened at the polling station.
Dr. Baumia,
they are not signing to say it's free or fair. They are attesting to what...
You're not answering my question. We'll move quicker if you just answer my question. My question is this: you were aware, based on what you yourself just read, that the polling agent, among his duties, or among the purposes for which he's there, is that he certified that the poll was conducted in accordance with the laws and regulations governing the conduct of elections. You're aware that that's one of the things, the purposes for which he's there. You were not aware?
Not aware of that.
You were not aware
of what is on the pink sheet.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Speaking to journalists after the hearing, a member of the legal team of the petitioners, Gloria Akufu, indicated they were satisfied with the day's proceedings.
The Electoral Commission's lawyer, Mr. Kwashi Aiden, concluded his cross-examination today. And then Mr. Chikata, who represents the NDC, also started his cross-examination and has still not finished. One of the things he's seeking to establish is that agent signed, but he did not conclude why he's putting that. But instructively, I think that I have said it before, and I think it's worth repeating it, that I cannot say anything that amounts to evaluating the evidence that was taken in court. All that, what the evidence means, if it is not clear, I'm prepared to take questions to explain if it is not clear. But the questions that seek, as it were, to challenge the case of the petitioners, the veracity of the evidence, the truthfulness or otherwise of whether or not the evidence is reliable. All that is the process that the court has to go through in its bid to deliver judgment.
Member of the legal team of the respondents, Nana Atudatsi, commended Dr. Bawumia for his resilience in the witness box, but noted the court was not impressed with the argument of the counsel of the petitioners when he sought to object to Chachuchi Kata cross-examining of Dr. Bawumia.
Essentially, Mr. Chachuchi Kata set out to break the case of Mr. Dr. Bawumia into pieces, to punch holes, to show that it's essentially either he didn't understand the process itself, that he been building up, or that there were clear errors apparent on the face of the pink sheets, and which he couldn't, of course, explain why they should be put together into the addition and deduction and the so-called padding.
Hearing, meanwhile, has been adjourned to Tuesday.
Now, where did Ghana go wrong in its development agenda and became so incapable of managing its own affairs? These questions were answered on yesterday's edition of Talons Take. Renowned political scientist Professor Kwame Ningsing and Senior Fellow of LESIAD, Dr. Vladimir Inchudanso, joined Charles Rekurobe, host of Talons Take, to explore the issues of Ghana's leadership.
The euphoria, the impatience for getting rid of the white man, Nkrumah rode on that crest wave and successfully led us to independence. Beyond that, he had a vision.
Clearly, the moving away from minding his own business in Ghana to try to become an international player did not work in Ghana's long.
That Nkrumah took. That position was not just to let Ghana succeed politically, economically, and socially, but to premise that success on the success of Africa. But it's important that you cannot build a country when it's divided. You cannot build a nation when it's divided against itself.
But
there's the need for a certain fundamental unity agreement on what the nation wants to do.
Right, so Talons Take airs on Sundays at 7 p.m. So do make a date for that. Up next, we have business.
Joy News Business is brought to you in association.
It has ordered the Director General of the National Lottery Authority, Kojo Anda, to proceed on leave with immediate effect. A statement signed by the Chief of Staff, Prosper Bani, over the weekend asked Brigadier Martin Ahiaglo to take over as Acting Director General of the authority. The statement requested Mr. Anda to report to the Finance Minister for reassignment after his leave. It is unclear what exactly must have led to this development, but it would be recalled some officials of the authority were recently indicted over a series of fraudulent activities at the authority. Meanwhile, the National Lottery Authority has denied losing billions of cedis over recent allegations of fraud leveled against one of its top officials. An administrator of their Kumasi branch confessed to have altered serial numbers of lotto tickets in the payment platform system. But at a news conference, lawyer for the NLA, Kojo Graham, says the matter has been grossly exaggerated. HFC bankers ruled out any talks for a possible takeover of the institution by a foreign entity. This follows plans by the biggest financial institution in the Caribbean, Republic Bank, to take over HFC in the near future. Managing Director David Dudal-Whiteway of Republic Bank told Joy Business they are considering this move because they want to be a major player in the banking industry in Ghana. But Managing Director of HFC, Asare Kufu, says their plan is rather to maintain a strong local ownership. Elsewhere, Bank of Africa has unveiled 5 new banking products which it says are aimed at reducing cost of banking for the benefit of customers. The 5 products target workers, public servants, as well as small business operators.
The new retail banking products include educational loan, employee pack, my business pack, ambitious savings plan, and public servants pack. According to the bank, working individuals interested in pursuing higher degrees can access up to 20,000 Ghana cedis to pay for educational bills under the educational loan product. Also, the employee pack offers a bundle of 7 products and services to customers at a fee of 5 Ghana cedis. This, the bank says, costs 3 times less than paying for all 7 products and services separately.
These are products that are very much founded on some survey that we did. What came out of the survey was customers' concern about the high cost of banking. Then they were also talking about the ability to access credits, and then the associated high cost of borrowing. Okay, and then for other services that they did require, they were being charged a fee. We have the public service pack, which is for employees in the public sector. Then we have the ambitious savings plan, which is available to all employees, be it in the private sector or the public or private sector. And then last is also my business plan, which is for persons who have not registered their business but are engaged in some commercial enterprise. In other words, they are running their business.
He explains the loan repayments have also been made flexible with reduced interest rates.
When we were making or adapting these products to the local terrain, we obviously could not be charging what we would have charged on our regular product loans and overdrafts. Usually our loans are base rate plus a margin. Base rate plus a margin. Now on the margins, we have slashed it by 50%. The base rate is still the same, okay? And therefore we've only slashed our margins by 50%. So maybe a margin which would have been interpreted as maybe as part of our net income. We are saying our net income is now slashed by 50% so that it is much more affordable to the customers who have subscribed to these products.
Bank of Africa Ghana, which has been operating in the country for 20 months, has indicated contracts for the 5 products are renewable yearly.
The Chief Executive of the Export Development and Agricultural Investment Fund, EDIFE, Dr. Abdul Nashiru Isahaku, has appealed to civil society organizations, farmers, and businessmen and women to take advantage of the review of the EDIFE Act. He said the Act reviewed by Parliament in 2011 is to give room for certain activities that may not be export-oriented, which are related to agro-processing for local consumption. Dr. Nashiru made the appeal at a meeting with managers of banks in Wa. Rafiq Salam filed this report from Wa.
The meeting brought together all bank managers in the region and aimed at sensitizing them on the activities, products and facilities being pursued by the Export Development and Agricultural Investment Fund. The bank serves as a conduit through which money for beneficiaries are paid. The Chief Executive Officer of the Export Development and Agriculture Investment Fund, Dr. Abdul Nashiru Isahaku, said EDIFE was established primarily to support the export sector in the country with the aim of creating more jobs. After operating for over a decade, Dr. Abdul Nashiru says government found it necessary to amend the Act to widen its scope to include agricultural products relating to agro-processing.
What we produce processed, we would not be spending money importing. That's a very good reason why the Act must be or was amended so that we can begin to pay attention to the agricultural value chain and link producers, processors, transporters, because someone has to transport the produced food to the processor. If you want money from EDIF to buy trucks exclusively to cut mango from the mango farm to the mango factory, you can come and get money to buy trucks.
The bank managers were also given opportunity to ask questions regarding the operation of the fund, which the Chief Executive Officer responded to. Rafiq Salam filed this report from WA.
Was brought to you in association with
First Atlantic Bank, the compelling place to bank.
Maximum, your world of maximum possibilities.
Time for the very latest in the world of sports. My name is George Addis Jr. Let's start with the Black Stars. And Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah says he's keen on the return of brothers Andre and Jordan Ayew ahead of Ghana's World Cup qualifiers in June. Andre and his brother Jordan announced in February their intentions to temporarily quit the Black Stars and have remained resolute despite attempts by the FA to have them rescind their decision. Appiah was speaking after his 1-week stay at Manchester City with our partners, the BBC.
Jordan Ayew and Andre Ayew, they are two great players, and when it comes to national call, I believe that every coach would love to have the two of them around. Every good Ghanaian player needs to come on board to help the nation.
Two more experienced players, Kevin Prince Boateng and Michael Essien. Do they have futures with the Ghana team?
I would love to have every good player around. Kevin and Essien are fantastic players that any coach, would love to have them. I've had opportunity to speak to David Platt and Brian Cade and Mancini as well.
Any particular bits of advice from Mr. Mancini?
Not advice, but there are some things that he tells me on how he sees things, and then the good things that I think will benefit me, I'll pick it out of it. But on the whole, he's been very, very helpful. Man City has got an academy in Ghana. Even as I speak now, they've brought about 18 players from Ghana, to train with their youth. At the end of it all, Ghana is going to benefit.
Right, so Coach Kwesi Appiah is expected in the country very soon. We'll be looking towards that. And then let's do the Airstyle Rising Stars. And former Black Stars defender Samuel Osei-Kuffour has praised organizers of the Airtel Rising Stars and has suggested some more emphasis be laid on player development in the country. The program, which enters season 3, has held on air talents for various national teams. And the travel defender, who himself was a product of the Colt system, says player development is crucial. He spoke to Joy Sports.
Well, I think it's not about anything about how the passion, the whole situation is. We want to create something for Ghana, and then have been through and have been tested it from the youth side. And I think there's a more opportunity for us to also give back to the society what the country have done for me. There's nothing that I can pay back. Paying back is just supporting the youth to develop Ghana football. I think, it's just a matter of time. Recently, we all saw exactly what happened with the under 17 team, and this is not the way that the Ghanaians expected it. We want Ghana every time the youth to become something extraordinary. Likes of maybe Neorati Lamte, we have Michael Essien, we have myself, we Manodia Gago and Alessopoko and Dems. But this is the time.
All right, surely more on that one. We'll be following that very closely for you, of course. You should stay locked and tracked in to Joy Sports on the Multi-TV channel. That'll be all for sports today. My name is George Adi Jr. Do have a good night. Israel will join us with Showbiz.
Was brought to you in association with
Our Milk. Smile. You've got Higo.
All right, that'll be it for the bulletin. Before I go, though, I'm going to bring you some of the comments you have posted on our Facebook wall. And the question that I asked is, the Ministry of Energy says, off-peak load shedding is over as promised by the President. What is the power situation in your community during the off-peak period? And this is unimaginable. The largest ever number of responses we've had or comments we've had posted on our Facebook wall to any question we've posted out there. We have 114 comments coming through, and Giscard Nana Mills, my guy, we daylight out now. Dan Suman, what are they talking about? It's off as I comment now. That's Ninote the Fourth, Emmanuel Ajimang. And the comments go on and on and on and on. You can get onto our Facebook wall and get to see what the responses have been to this particular question. It just tells you the power situation is has not ameliorated as people as we're being made to understand. That's it for the bulletin. Before we go, a quick run through our top stories. The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum has assured government is on course to end load management by the first week of May.